The conference room fell silent as the hologram flickered to life. Ambassador Soman stood perfectly still, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the alien ship materialize in the display. It was massive, larger than any human vessel ever built. Its surface gleamed with a dark metal that seemed to drink in the starlight around it. "They call themselves the Galactic Empire," said Captain Minho, standing beside her. His uniform was crisp, despite the long journey to this distant system. Their message was clear: submit or be destroyed. Soman had spent 15 years in diplomatic service. She had negotiated trade agreements, peace treaties, and cultural exchanges with dozens of human colonies. But this was different. This was humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Everything she said in the next few hours could determine whether humanity survived or vanished from the galaxy. "Schedule the meeting," she said quietly. "I'll speak with them." 3 hours later, Soman sat across from High Arbiter Velthrin. The alien was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that reflected the harsh lighting of his ship. His eyes were pure black, showing no emotion as he studied her. Behind him stood 2 guards, their bodies covered in armor that hummed with energy. "Ambassador Soman," Velthrin spoke in perfect human language, though his voice carried a strange musical quality. "Your species has entered space claimed by the Galactic Empire for 3,000 years. This is unacceptable." "We meant no offense," Samin replied carefully. "Humanity seeks peaceful cooperation with all intelligent species. We didn't know these systems were claimed. Ignorance is not an excuse." Velthrin leaned forward slightly. "The Empire has analyzed your technology, your ships, your weapons, your power systems. All of it is primitive. You are centuries behind our capabilities. Resistance would be futile and brief." Soman felt her heart racing but kept her face calm. "Then let us avoid conflict entirely. Humanity controls only a small number of systems. We can establish borders, create trade agreements. There's no need for war. The Empire does not negotiate with lesser species." Velthrin's tone remained flat, almost bored. "You have 2 choices. Surrender your territories and technology to the Empire or be destroyed. You have 48 hours to decide." The meeting ended. Soman returned to her ship feeling sick. She had failed. The Empire saw humanity as nothing more than insects to be swept aside. As her ship jumped back to human space, she composed her report to Earth's government. War was coming, whether humanity wanted it or not. Commander Jiho received the news in his office on Mars. He was a stocky man with gray hair and tired eyes. For 20 years he had served in humanity's defense forces. He had fought pirates, rebels, and the occasional corporate war. But this was different. This was extinction. He called his senior officers to an emergency meeting. Minho was there, fresh from escorting Soman. Also present were Admiral Tejan, who commanded humanity's largest fleet, and several tactical specialists. "Show me what we're facing," Jiho said. The hologram displayed everything human intelligence had gathered about the Empire. Their territory covered thousands of star systems. Their technology included weapons that could crack planets and shields that could withstand nuclear explosions. Their military doctrine was based on overwhelming force and mathematical precision. "We can't win," Admiral Tejan said bluntly. "Not in conventional warfare. They have more ships, better weapons, stronger defenses. Even if we united every human colony, we'd be outnumbered 100 to 1. "Then we don't fight conventionally," Jiho replied. He pulled up tactical data from the Empire's approach. "Look at their fleet movements. Perfect formations. Optimal spacing. Mathematical precision. They fight like a computer program." "That's good for them," Minho said. "No." Jiho shook his head. "It's predictable. Computers can calculate millions of possibilities, but they follow patterns. Humans don't. We make mistakes, we improvise, we do things that make no logical sense. That's our advantage." The room went quiet. Finally, Admiral Tejan spoke. "You want to weaponize chaos." "Exactly." Jiho smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. "The Empire thinks they understand warfare. They think it's about numbers and firepower and technology. They're wrong. War is about breaking your enemy's will, making them doubt, making them afraid. We're going to teach them that humanity doesn't follow their rules." The 48 hours passed. Humanity's answer was silence. The Empire took this as refusal and acted immediately. 3 human colonies were hit simultaneously. New Shanghai, a mining colony with 2 million inhabitants. Port Darwin, an agricultural world. And Horizon Station, humanity's largest research facility. The Empire's ships appeared without warning. their weapons tearing through orbital defenses like paper. Jiho watched the attacks from Mars Command Center. The displays showed real-time data as human ships tried desperately to respond. They were losing badly. Empire vessels moved in perfect coordination, their fire patterns optimized for maximum destruction. Human defenses crumbled within hours, but Jiho wasn't panicking. He was studying. His eyes tracked the enemy formations, noting every movement, every pattern, every predictable behavior. The Empire fought with absolute efficiency. They never wasted energy, never made mistakes, never deviated from optimal tactics. Minho stood beside him, his face pale as he watched the casualties mount. "Commander, we have to evacuate those colonies. We're losing thousands every minute." "Send evacuation orders," Jiho agreed. "But also send this." He transmitted a coded message to all human military units. The message was simple: abandon standard doctrine. Fight unpredictably. Make them wonder what you'll do next. On the screens, something changed. Human ships stopped retreating in organized formations. Instead, they scattered in random directions. Some charged directly at enemy vessels in suicide runs. Others fled at impossible angles. A few simply stopped moving and broadcast music at full power. The Empire fleet hesitated. Just for a moment, but Jiho saw it. Their perfect formations wobbled. Their targeting systems paused. They didn't understand what the humans were doing because it made no tactical sense. "It's working," Jiho said quietly. "We're still losing," Minho pointed out. "For now." Jiho smiled grimly. "But they're confused. Confusion leads to doubt. Doubt leads to mistakes. The Empire thinks they're fighting a technologically inferior species. They have no idea they're fighting something far more dangerous. They're fighting humans who have nothing left to lose and no intention of fighting fair." The 3 colonies fell. The Empire declared victory, but as their fleets regrouped for the next assault, High Arbiter Velthron stared at tactical reports with growing unease. The human resistance had been chaotic, illogical, wasteful, yet somehow they had delayed his forces by 6 hours. 6 hours that made no mathematical sense. For the first time in his long military career, Velthron felt something unexpected, uncertainty. And in his command center on Mars, Commander Jiho looked at the star charts and began planning humanity's first real counterattack. The Empire had made their first mistake. They had assumed humans would fight like everyone else. They were about to learn that assumption would cost them everything. Dr. Yuna arrived at Mars Command Center 3 days after the first attacks. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and hands that never stopped moving. She carried a single data tablet and looked completely out of place among the military officers. "You wanted to see me, Commander?" she asked Jiho. "I need you to help me turn chaos into a weapon," Jiho replied. "You're the best chaos theorist humanity has. I want to make warfare so unpredictable that the Empire's computers can't calculate our next move." Yuna smiled. "You want to weaponize randomness. Interesting. The Empire operates on perfect logic. They calculate every possibility and choose the optimal response. But chaos theory tells us that complex systems become unpredictable. Even small changes can create massive effects. Can you teach my officers to fight chaotically?" Jiho asked. "Better," Yuna said. "I can teach them to fight in ways that look random but actually create strategic advantages. Controlled chaos. The Empire will see disorder, but we'll be following deeper patterns they can't detect." Over the next week, Yuna worked with the military staff. She taught them to abandon everything they had learned about proper tactics. She showed them how to deliberately make mistakes that would confuse enemy targeting systems. She explained how random movements could be more effective than planned maneuvers. Lieutenant Dabin was one of the youngest officers in the command center. He was brilliant but traditional, always following regulations. Yuna's teaching disturbed him. "This is insane," he told Minho during a break. "She's telling us to throw away centuries of military doctrine, to fight like we don't know what we're doing." "That's exactly the point," Minho replied. The captain had been flying combat missions against the Empire for a week now. He had seen firsthand how traditional tactics failed. "The Empire expects us to fight smart, so we fight stupid. We do things so illogical that their computers crash trying to understand us. But we're losing people," Dabin protested. "We'd lose more fighting their way," Minho said quietly. "Trust the commander. He knows what he's doing." The Empire launched their second wave of attacks. This time they targeted 5 human colonies simultaneously, committing massive forces to each one. High Arbiter Velthron was confident. The first attacks had taught them about human tactics. This time they would crush the resistance quickly, but something went wrong from the very beginning. Human ships didn't defend the colonies. Instead, they scattered in every direction, forcing Empire vessels to split their formations to pursue them. Some human ships charged directly at Empire dreadnoughts, forcing them to waste valuable time destroying tiny threats. Other human vessels simply fled into asteroid fields and nebulae, where sensors couldn't track them. Minho led one of these suicide runs. His small fighter dove straight at an Empire battleship, firing everything he had. The battleship's shields absorbed the damage easily, but their automated defense systems had to track him. For 30 seconds, that massive ship focused on one tiny fighter instead of the larger battle. Then Minho did something completely illogical. Instead of retreating or dying heroically, he stopped firing and spun his ship in random patterns while broadcasting children's music at maximum volume. The Empire ship's computers paused, trying to understand what was happening. Those few seconds of confusion let 3 other human ships land critical hits on the battleship's engines. Across 5 battlefields, similar chaos unfolded. Human forces deliberately sacrificed tactical advantages to create confusion. They abandoned strong positions for no apparent reason. They attacked heavily defended targets while ignoring easy ones. They broadcast poetry, music, and random data across all frequencies, flooding Empire communication networks with meaningless noise. In his flagship, Velthron watched his perfect battle plans crumble. The Empire was winning every engagement, but victory took 3 times longer than calculated. Human forces died in massive numbers, but they died in ways that disrupted Empire operations. Analysis, he demanded from his tactical computer. Human behavior patterns show no logical consistency. The computer replied. Recommendation: increase forces by 40% to compensate for unpredictability. Velthron felt frustration building. 40% more forces. That was billions in resources, thousands of ships, months of preparation time, all because these primitives refused to fight properly. Back on Mars, Jiho studied the results with satisfaction. The colonies had fallen, yes, but each battle had cost the Empire more than expected. More time, more resources, more confusion. They're adapting, Una warned. The Empire will eventually develop new algorithms to predict chaos. We need to escalate. I know, Jiho replied, which is why we moved to Phase 2. Dabin, come here. The young lieutenant approached nervously. Sir? You said our tactics were insane, Jiho said. You were right. But I need you to think even more insanely. I want you to design false retreats that look like real defeats. Make the Empire think they're winning when they're actually walking into traps. Dabin's eyes widened. False retreats. The Empire's computers will analyze our withdrawal patterns. If we make it look authentic enough, they'll pursue. And then we hit them when they're overextended. Exactly, Jiho smiled. Welcome to Chaos Warfare, Lieutenant. Over the next month, humanity implemented Dabin's strategy. Human forces began staging elaborate retreats. Ships fled in panic, leaving behind supplies and equipment. Colonies evacuated hastily, abandoning valuable infrastructure. Every action screamed of defeat and desperation. The Empire pursued eagerly. They pushed deeper into human territory, confident that victory was near. Velthron sent reports to the Empire's Central Command declaring that human resistance would collapse within weeks. Then the traps sprung. Human ships that had retreated suddenly returned with reinforcements. Those abandoned colonies contained hidden weapons that activated when Empire forces entered orbit. Supply depots that appeared to be left behind exploded when Empire ships tried to claim them. But the most devastating attacks weren't physical. Humanity had learned that Empire ships relied on quantum communication networks that connected every vessel. Una developed a virus specifically designed to exploit this. When Empire ships investigated human databases on captured worlds, the virus spread through their networks. It didn't destroy their systems. That would be too simple. Instead, it introduced tiny delays. Milliseconds where targeting computers took slightly longer to lock on. Microseconds where tactical displays showed information a fraction behind real time. Individually, these delays meant nothing. But in high-speed space combat, they were fatal. Empire ships started missing shots they should have landed. Their formations became slightly uncoordinated. Their perfect efficiency degraded by just 2%. But that 2% was the difference between victory and defeat. when fighting an enemy that refused to be predictable. Velthron realized too late what was happening. He ordered his fleets to retreat and purge their systems. But the damage was done. The Empire had lost 12 major battles in a single week, not because humans were stronger, but because the Empire no longer trusted their own technology. "Sir," Minho reported to Jiho, "Empire forces are requesting massive reinforcements. Intelligence suggests they're preparing to commit their core battle fleets." "Good," Jiho replied. "Let them bring everything they have." "Yuna, prepare Phase 3. The Resonance Project?" Yuna asked carefully. "Commander, it's not fully tested. We don't even know if it will work." "It'll work," Jiho said with certainty, "because the Empire still doesn't understand what they're fighting. They think this is about technology and firepower. They're wrong. This is about breaking their confidence, making them doubt everything they believe, and when their core fleets arrive, we're going to show them something that will shake their entire civilization." Across the galaxy, Empire ships gathered for the final assault. Thousands of vessels representing centuries of military might. They came to crush humanity once and for all. But in hidden research facilities throughout human space, scientists worked on a weapon that would change everything. A weapon that would make the very stars cry out in pain. Engineer Hana stood before the military council with trembling hands. She was 30 years old and had spent the last 5 years studying Empire technology from captured vessels. What she had discovered would change the war forever. Their technology operates on quantum frequencies, she explained, projecting diagrams into the air. Every Empire system, from their weapons to their life support, uses precise quantum harmonics. It's incredibly efficient, but it has a weakness. What weakness? Jiho asked. If we can generate specific interference patterns, we can disrupt those frequencies. Not destroy them, but create dissonance. Like playing the wrong note in a perfect song. Their systems will malfunction. Counselor Tajin frowned. He was a heavy-set man who represented Earth's civilian government. "How do you create this interference?" Hana took a deep breath. "We broadcast sound waves and electromagnetic pulses through space, specific patterns that match and counter the Empire's quantum frequencies. The effect will spread through their communication networks." "This is too dangerous," Tajin said immediately. "You're talking about weaponizing fundamental physics. What if it affects our own systems? What if it spreads beyond our control?" "It won't affect human technology," Hana insisted. "We don't use quantum harmonics the same way. Our systems are messier, less efficient, but more resilient. That's actually our advantage here." "I don't like it," Tajin said. "This feels like we're opening a door we can't close. What if other species start using this weapon? What if it becomes a threat to all advanced technology?" Jiho stood up. "Counselor, the Empire is gathering their core fleets. In 2 weeks, they'll have enough firepower to destroy every human world simultaneously. We need every advantage we can get." "Hana, how long to build these generators?" 10 days, Hana replied. "We'll need to position them in multiple star systems to create effective coverage." "Do it," Jiho ordered. "Commander, I must protest," Tajin began. "Your protest is noted," Jiho said coldly. "But I have authority over military operations. This weapon will be deployed. If we survive this war, you can bring me up on charges. If we don't deploy it, there won't be anyone left to charge." The council dismissed in tense silence. Hana immediately began coordinating with engineers across human space. They worked day and night, building massive resonance generators. Each one was the size of a small ship, filled with complex equipment that could broadcast interference across light years. Minho helped position the generators. He flew missions to place them in strategic locations, hidden in asteroid fields and nebulae where Empire scouts wouldn't detect them. It was exhausting, dangerous work. Several pilots died when Empire patrols discovered them. "Is this going to work?" Minho asked Hana during one supply run. "Honestly, I don't know," Hana admitted. "The theory is solid, but we've never tested it at this scale. We're basically creating a galaxy-wide interference field. If I'm right, it'll cripple the Empire's technology. If I'm wrong, it might do nothing at all. And if it goes really wrong," Hana looked away, "then we might damage the fundamental structure of space in these systems. Nothing catastrophic, but navigation and communication could become unreliable for decades." "Wonderful," Minho said dryly. "No pressure then." 9 days later, the Empire's core fleet arrived. It was the largest military force ever assembled in known space. 3,000 warships, including 50 dreadnoughts that could each destroy a planet. High Arbiter Velthron commanded the fleet personally from his flagship. "This ends today," Veltron declared to his officers. "Humanity has proven resourceful, but resourcefulness cannot defeat overwhelming force. We will crush their remaining colonies and end this embarrassment to the Empire." The Empire fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Human forces gathered to meet them. Every available ship committed to this final battle. The human fleet was pitifully small by comparison. Maybe 500 vessels against 3,000. Jiho watched from his command ship. His hand hovered over the activation control for the resonance generators. Beside him, Yuna monitored the readings carefully. "All generators are online and ready," she reported. "Commander, once we activate this, there's no turning back. The interference will spread through their entire network within minutes." "I know," Jiho replied. He opened a channel to all human ships. "All forces, this is Commander Jiho. In a few moments, I'm going to activate a weapon that will change this battle. Your orders are to survive the next 60 seconds. After that, engage at will. Good luck." He pressed the activation control. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to shudder. The resonance generators began broadcasting their interference patterns. Invisible waves of carefully calculated dissonance spread outward at the speed of light. The Empire fleet was the first to be affected. Their quantum communication network began experiencing interference. Ship computers tried to compensate, amplifying their signals to maintain clarity. This only made things worse. The amplified signals picked up more interference, creating a feedback loop. Then something unexpected happened. The interference created actual sound waves through space. Normally, space is silent because there's no medium to carry sound. But the quantum frequencies the Empire used could generate vibrations in the fabric of space itself. The resonance weapon exploited this. A sound emerged from the darkness. It was horrible. A screaming, wailing noise that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It wasn't just sound. It was quantum distortion made audible. The death cry of a million interconnected systems failing simultaneously. Empire ships began losing power. Their weapons failed to fire. Their shields flickered and died. Their engines sputtered. Across 3,000 vessels, crews watched in horror as their perfect technology betrayed them. Veltron stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Every system was showing errors. Backup systems activated and immediately failed. Emergency protocols triggered and froze. His mighty dreadnought was becoming nothing more than a dead hulk drifting in space. "What is this?" he demanded. "What have they done?" His science officer checked the readings with shaking hands. "They're attacking our quantum infrastructure. The interference is cascading through our entire network. Every system that uses quantum harmonics is failing. Can we counter it?" "No, the interference is too widespread. We'd need to shut down everything and rebuild our systems from scratch. That would take weeks." Through the viewport, Veltron could see human ships advancing. They moved carefully, cautiously, as if they couldn't quite believe what was happening. The mighty Empire fleet was helpless before them. "All ships retreat," Veltron ordered. "Emergency protocols. Use chemical rockets if you must. Get us out of this interference field." The Empire fleet began a chaotic withdrawal. Ships limped away on backup systems, some colliding with each other in their panic. The perfect formations were gone, replaced by desperate flight. And through it all, that terrible sound continued, the sound of stars crying out in pain. Human forces pursued, but carefully. Jiho had ordered them not to slaughter the retreating enemy. There would be time for that later if necessary. For now, it was enough to watch the mighty Empire flee. As the last Empire ships jumped to faster-than-light speeds and escaped the interference field, Jiho allowed himself to breathe. They had won. Against impossible odds, humanity had defeated the greatest military force in the galaxy. But as he listened to the echoing screams of distorted quantum frequencies fading into silence, he wondered what price they had paid for this victory. They had made the stars themselves cry out. That kind of power was terrifying. And somewhere in the galaxy, thousands of species had heard those screams and were asking themselves the same question. What kind of beings could do such a thing? The message arrived 3 weeks after the Empire's retreat. It was encrypted using old human diplomatic codes. When Soman decoded it, she found something remarkable. A defection request advisor Curie arrived on Mars under heavy security. She was a former Empire diplomat, tall and elegant with pale green skin and forearms. She moved carefully, aware that human guards watched her every step. Soman met her in a secure conference room. Jiho was there too, along with Minho and several intelligence officers. "Thank you for seeing me," Curie said in perfect human language. I know you have little reason to trust the Empire. None at all, Jiho replied bluntly. Why are you here? Because the Empire is collapsing, Curie said. Your victory has triggered something we never expected. Rebellion. Across the galaxy, subjugated species are rising up. They heard the stars cry out when you defeated our fleet. They realize the Empire is not invincible. Good, Jiho said. They should be free. You don't understand, Curie insisted. The Empire controlled thousands of worlds for 3,000 years. Our infrastructure, our trade networks, our peacekeeping forces, all of it is breaking down. Colonies are starving because supply ships aren't running. Systems are at war with each other because there's no central authority. Chaos is spreading. Soman leaned forward. What do you want from us? Help us rebuild, Curie said simply. Not restore the Empire. That's finished. But help create something new. A federation where different species can coexist peacefully. You've proven you can defeat us. Now prove you can be better than us. Absolutely not, Jiho said immediately. The Empire tried to exterminate us. Now they want our help? We should press our advantage and dismantle what's left of their military. Commander, Soman said carefully, think about the long term. If we destroy the Empire completely, we create a power vacuum. Dozens of species will fight to fill it. The galaxy will burn in civil wars for generations. Better that than letting the Empire survive, Jiho countered. They attacked us without provocation. They killed millions of humans. Now we're supposed to forgive and help them? I'm not asking you to forgive, Curie said quietly. I'm asking you to be wise. Revenge feels good, but it solves nothing. Build something better instead. The debate continued for hours. Eventually, Jiho allowed Curie to stay as a consultant, though he made clear he hadn't decided anything. The argument between military destruction and diplomatic rebuilding would define humanity's next steps. Meanwhile, Admiral Siwu commanded the human fleet that now patrolled former Empire territory. He was a careful, methodical officer who preferred planning to improvisation. His ships moved through liberated systems, helping maintain order and protecting refugees. But Siwu discovered something disturbing during a patrol near the Outer Rim. Energy signatures that matched Empire military vessels, but hidden in uncharted systems. He sent reconnaissance drones to investigate. What he found chilled him. A hidden fleet of Empire warships, at least 500 strong. They weren't part of the official Empire forces that had surrendered. They were something else. Siwu immediately reported to Mars. When Curie saw the images, her face went pale. Rogue elements, she whispered. I feared this. When the Empire's central command collapsed, several military factions refused to accept surrender. They believe they can restore Empire glory through force. Who leads them? Jiho demanded. General Yunji, Curie replied. She's a fanatic. Brilliant, ruthless, and completely loyal to the old Empire ideology. She won't negotiate. She'll fight until she wins or dies. What's her objective? Minho asked. Revenge, Curie said. She blames humanity for the Empire's collapse. She'll want to hurt you as badly as possible. My guess is she's targeting your colonies directly. Intelligence confirmed Curie's assessment within days. The rogue fleet was moving toward human space. They had avoided the resonance interference fields and were using older technology that was less efficient, but more resistant to disruption. Worse, they had planet-killer weapons. These were banned under Empire law, but Yunji had activated them anyway. Each weapon could sterilize an entire world, killing all life on the surface. Jiho called another council meeting. This time, High Arbiter Velthrin attended via hologram. The former Empire commander looked tired and defeated. General Yunji is a problem for both of us, Velthrin said. The official Empire forces that surrendered to you number about 2,000 ships. We're willing to help stop her. But our systems are still recovering from your resonance attack. We're at maybe 30% effectiveness. Why should we trust you? Jiho asked. You tried to exterminate us months ago. Because Yunji will come for us next, Velthrin replied. She sees anyone who surrendered to you as traitors. If she destroys humanity, she'll turn on us. We have a common enemy now. He's right, Soman said. This is bigger than our war with the Empire. If Yunji succeeds, the galaxy descends into chaos. We need allies. I don't like it, Jiho said. But I also don't see a choice. We can't fight Yunji alone, not while defending our colonies. Velthrin, I'm accepting your offer. But understand this, one betrayal and I'll finish what we started. The Empire won't get a third chance. Understood, Velthron replied quietly. Over the next 2 weeks, an unusual alliance formed. Human and Empire forces began coordinating operations. It was awkward at first. The species had been enemies for months. Trust was non-existent, but necessity forced cooperation. Minho led joint patrols with Empire pilots. They communicated through stiff, formal protocols, but slowly began to respect each other's abilities. The Empire pilots were disciplined and precise. The human pilots were creative and unpredictable. Together, they covered each other's weaknesses. Meanwhile, Curie worked with Soman to coordinate humanitarian efforts. Liberated species needed food, medicine, and security. The old Empire supply networks were broken. Together, they built new ones based on cooperation rather than domination. But as the alliance strengthened, Yunji's rogue fleet drew closer. Intelligence reports showed they were 2 weeks from reaching human space. They had 8 planet-killer weapons armed and ready. We need more than ships, Hana told the council. The resonance weapon won't work on Yunji's older technology. We need something new. Like what? Jiho asked. I'm not sure yet, Hana admitted. But I'm working on an idea. Give me a week. That week passed intense preparation. Allied forces gathered at strategic points. Evacuation plans were drawn up for vulnerable colonies. Everyone knew the battle was coming. Then Velthron sent a private message to Jiho. It was short but shocking. Yunji had sent him a communication. She was offering negotiation. It's a trap, Minho said immediately when Jiho shared the news. Probably, Jiho agreed. But what if it's not? What if there's a chance to stop this without more bloodshed? You can't seriously be considering this, Minho protested. I'm considering everything, Jiho replied. That's what command means. Making impossible choices. But before Jiho could respond to Yunji's offer, new intelligence arrived. It was devastating. Yunji's fleet had split. Half were approaching human space as expected, but the other half had vanished, their destination unknown. She's not negotiating, Curie said with certainty. She's dividing our attention. While we focus on her main fleet, the second group is moving to strike somewhere else. But where? Soman asked. Velthron's hologram flickered with distress. The Empire homeworld. She's going to destroy it. Billions of lives. She'd rather see the Empire burn than surrender. Jiho stood frozen, facing an impossible decision. Send forces to defend the Empire homeworld and leave human colonies vulnerable? Or protect humanity and let billions of former enemies die? Time was running out, and whatever choice he made would define not just the war, but the kind of galaxy that would emerge from it. Jiho made his decision in seconds. Split our forces. Admiral Siwu takes half the fleet to defend the Empire homeworld. I'll lead the rest against Yunji's main force. Velthron, coordinate with Siwu. Soman, start evacuating vulnerable colonies now. Commander, we don't have enough ships, Minho protested. If we divide our forces, both groups will be outnumbered. I know, Jiho replied. That's why we need Hana's new weapon ready immediately. Hana, what do you have? The engineer looked exhausted but excited. I've been working with a young technician named Junho. He had an idea. What if instead of using resonance to disrupt systems, we use it to harmonize them? Explain, Jiho said. The original resonance weapon created interference that made Empire technology fail. But resonance can also create harmony. We can broadcast frequencies that allow different technologies to work together perfectly. Human systems, Empire systems, technology from liberated species. All of it coordinated like one giant network. You want to network the entire Allied fleet? Velthron asked incredulously. That's impossible. Our systems are fundamentally incompatible. Not anymore, Junho spoke up. The young technician was barely 20 years old, but his eyes burned with confidence. The harmonic resonance creates a translation layer. Ships can share targeting data, coordinate movements, even combine shield strengths. We become one fleet instead of many separate forces. How long to implement? Jiho asked. 6 hours to modify the existing resonance generators, Hana replied. But Commander, this is untested. We have no idea if it will work in combat conditions. Do it, Jiho ordered. We're out of time for caution. Make it work or we all die trying. The next 6 hours were chaos. Engineers worked frantically to reprogram resonance generators. Pilots received hasty briefings on the new coordination system. Military commanders from different species tried to plan combined operations, despite language barriers and cultural differences. Soman coordinated the diplomatic side. bringing together representatives from dozens of liberated species. Many were skeptical. They had suffered under Empire rule for generations. Now they were being asked to trust humans and reformed Empire forces. "I understand your hesitation," Soman told them. "But General Yunji threatens all of us. She has weapons that can destroy entire worlds. If we don't stand together, we'll fall separately. This isn't about forgiveness. It's about survival." Slowly, grudgingly, the different species agreed to coordinate. They contributed what ships they had. It wasn't much, but every vessel mattered. Meanwhile, Yunji's rogue fleet closed in. They moved with grim determination, ignoring all communication attempts. The fleet that approached human space numbered 250 warships, including 4 planet-killer weapons. Jiho's combined force was larger, but less coordinated. 300 ships from multiple species, all with different technologies and tactics. Without the harmonic resonance working, they would be easy prey for Yunji's disciplined forces. "Resonance generators are online," Hana reported from the command ship. "Activating harmonic protocols now." For a moment, every ship in the Allied fleet experienced a strange sensation. Their systems seemed to expand, connecting to something larger. Human pilots could suddenly see tactical data from Empire sensors. Empire gunners could coordinate with alien targeting systems. Different technologies that should have been incompatible began working together seamlessly. "It's working," Minho reported from his fighter. "I can see everything. Every ship, every weapon, every shield strength. It's like we're all part of one organism. All forces, this is Commander Jiho," he broadcast across the network. "We are many species, many technologies, many cultures. Today we fight as one. Show General Yunji what unity can achieve." The battle began. Yunji's fleet attacked with brutal efficiency. Their weapons were powerful and their tactics precise. They focused fire on individual ships, destroying them before moving to the next target. It was the classic Empire doctrine of overwhelming force. But the Allied fleet responded in ways Yunji had never seen. When she targeted one ship, others immediately moved to cover it with their shields. When she tried to flank the formation, ships from different species coordinated perfectly to counter her movement. Human creativity combined with Empire precision and alien innovation created something entirely new. The harmonic resonance did more than share data. It shared understanding. Pilots could feel the intentions of their allies. Commanders could coordinate without speaking. The fleet moved like a single living thing, adapting and responding faster than any individual force could. Minho led his fighter squadron in a coordinated strike against one of Yunji's planet-killer weapons. Human fighters provided speed and unpredictability. Empire bombers provided heavy firepower. Ships from liberated species contributed specialized weapons. Together they overwhelmed the weapon's defenses and destroyed it. "One planet killer down," Minho reported. 3 to go, but Yunji was adapting. She realized the Allied fleet was too coordinated to fight conventionally. So she changed tactics. Instead of engaging directly, she began targeting the resonance generators themselves. "They're hunting our generators," Hana warned. "If they destroy enough of them, the harmonic network will collapse. Protect those generators at all costs," Jiho ordered. "Without them, we lose our advantage." The battle intensified. Allied ships threw themselves between Yunji's forces and the generators. Casualties mounted on both sides, but the harmonic network held. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Siwu faced his own crisis. Yunji's second fleet had reached the Empire homeworld. They were activating their planet-killer weapons, preparing to sterilize the surface. Siwu had fewer ships than the attackers, but he had something else. The people of the Empire homeworld were evacuating in massive transport ships. Billions of civilians trying to escape before the weapons fired. "We have to buy them time," Siwu told his officers. "Every minute we hold is 1,000,000 lives saved." His fleet engaged the attackers in desperate combat. They were losing, but they were slowing the enemy down. The harmonic resonance network extended even here, allowing Siwu's forces to coordinate with Empire defense platforms and civilian ships. Back at the main battle, Jiho received reports of Siwu's situation. The Admiral was holding, but barely. If Jiho couldn't defeat Yunji's main force soon, Siwu would be overwhelmed and billions would die. "We need to end this now," Jiho said. "Hana, can you boost the resonance to maximum?" "It's risky," Hana replied. "Too much harmonic energy could overload our systems." "Do it," Jiho ordered. The resonance generators increased their output. The harmonic network intensified. Every allied ship felt it, a connection so strong it was almost overwhelming. They could sense each other's thoughts, feel each other's determination. And then something unexpected happened. The harmonic resonance spread beyond the allied fleet. It reached Unji's ships. Their crews, who had been fighting with cold efficiency, suddenly felt the emotions of their enemies. Fear, determination, hope, and most powerfully, unity. Some of Unji's ships hesitated. Their crews questioned what they were doing. Was revenge worth destroying worlds? Was restoring the old empire worth becoming monsters? All ships cease fire, a voice broadcast across Unji's fleet. It was her second in command. General Unji, we will not follow this path. The empire we served stood for order and stability, not genocide. We surrender. Traitors, Unji screamed. I'll destroy you all myself. But her fleet was breaking apart. Ship after ship powered down their weapons and requested terms of surrender. Only Unji's flagship and a handful of loyal vessels continued fighting. Minho led the final assault. His squadron, a mix of human, empire, and alien fighters, disabled Unji's flagship. She was captured alive, still screaming defiance. At the Empire homeworld, the Second Fleet also surrendered when they learned what had happened. Sewu's forces stood down exhausted but victorious. The evacuation transports began returning to the surface. Billions of lives had been saved. The war was over. 6 months later, representatives from hundreds of species gathered on Mars. They came to sign the charter establishing the Galactic Federation. It was a new government based on equality, cooperation, and mutual defense. The harmonic resonance network had been refined and expanded. It now connected billions of beings across the galaxy, allowing instant communication and coordination. Different species could work together seamlessly, combining their unique strengths. Jiho stood on a balcony overlooking the ceremony. He had resigned his military command, believing the new federation needed civilian leadership. But he had stayed on as an advisor. Soman joined him. She had been elected as one of the Federation's first ambassadors. We did it, she said quietly. We turned enemies into allies. You did it, Jiho corrected. I was ready to destroy the Empire. You convinced me there was a better way. We both did our parts, Soman replied. You showed them we couldn't be defeated. I showed them we could be partners. Both were necessary. They watched as the charter was signed. Hundreds of species, all agreeing to work together. The old empire was gone, replaced by something better. Do you remember what you told me before the war started? Soman asked. You said humanity's advantage was chaos and unpredictability. I remember, Jiho said.